Draconic creatures appear in virtually all cultures around the globe, and the earliest attested reports of draconic creatures resemble giant snakes. Draconic creatures are first described in the mythologies of the ancient Near East and appear in ancient Mesopotamian art and literature. Stories about storm gods slaying giant serpents occur throughout nearly all Near Eastern and Indo-European mythologies. Famous prototypical draconic creatures include the Mushushu of ancient Mesopotamia, Apep in Egyptian mythology, Phra in the Rig Veda, the Leviathan in the Hebrew Bible, Grand Ghoul in the Poitou region in France, Python, Ladon, Wyvern and the Lernaean Hydra in Greek mythology, Kulshedra in Albanian mythology, Anshila in Lakota mythology, Jormungandr, Nithhogr, and Fafnir in Norse mythology, the dragon from Beowulf, and Asi and as in ancient Persian mythology, closely related to another mythological figure called Asi-Dahaka or Zak. Egypt. In Egyptian mythology, Apep or Apophis is a giant serpentine creature who resides in the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The Bremerine Papyrus, written around 310 BC, preserves an account of a much older Egyptian tradition, that the setting of the sun is caused by Ra descending to the Duat to battle Apep. In some accounts, Apep is as long as the height of 8 men with a head made of flint. Thunderstorms and earthquakes were thought to be caused by Apep's roar, and solar eclipses were thought to be the result of Apep attacking Ra during the daytime. In some myths, Apep is slain by the god Set. Nebkau is another giant serpent who guards the Duat and aided Ra in his battle against Apep. Nebkau was so massive in some stories that the entire earth was believed to rest atop his coils. Dinwin is a giant serpent mentioned in the pyramid texts whose body was made of fire and who ignited a conflagration that nearly destroyed all the gods of the Egyptian, ultimately defeated by the pharaoh, a victory which affirmed the pharaoh's divine right to rule. The Ouroboros was a well-known Egyptian symbol of a serpent swallowing its own tail. The precursor to the Ouroboros was the many-faced, a serpent with 5 heads, who, according to the Amduat, the oldest surviving book of the afterlife, was said to coil around the corpse of the sun god Ra protectively. The earliest surviving depiction of a true Ouroboros comes from the gilded shrines in the tomb of Tutankhamun. In the early centuries AD, the Ouroboros was adopted as a symbol by Gnostic Christians, and chapter 136 of the Pistis Sophia, an early Gnostic text, describes a great dragon whose tail is in its mouth. In medieval alchemy, the Ouroboros became a typical Western dragon with wings, legs, and a tail. A famous image of the dragon gnawing on its tail from the 11th century Codex Marcianus was copied in numerous works on alchemy. Asia. Ancient people across the Near East believed in creatures similar to what modern people call dragons. These ancient people were unaware of the existence of dinosaurs or similar creatures in the distant past. References to dragons of both benevolent and malevolent characters occur throughout ancient Mesopotamian literature. In Sumerian poetry, great kings are often compared to the Uzumgal, a gigantic, serpentine monster. A draconic creature with the foreparts of a lion and the hind legs, tail, and wings of a bird appears in Mesopotamian artwork from the Akkadian period, circa 2334 to 2154 BC, until the Neo-Babylonian period, 626 BC to 539 BC. The dragon is usually shown with its mouth open. It may have been known as the Umu, Nairu, which means roaring weather beast, and may have been associated with the god Ishka, the Dod. A slightly different lion dragon with 2 horns and the tail of a scorpion appears in art from the Neo-Assyrian period, 911 BC to 609 BC. A relief probably commissioned by Sennacherib shows the gods Ashur, Sin, and Adad standing on its back. Another draconic creature with horns, the body and neck of a snake, the forelegs of a lion, and the hind legs of a bird appears in Mesopotamian art from the Akkadian period until the Hellenistic period, 323 BC to 31 BC. This creature, known in Akkadian as the Mushushu, meaning furious serpent, was used as a symbol for particular deities and also as a general protective emblem. It seems to have originally been the attendant of the underworld god Ninazu, but later became the attendant to the Hurrian storm god Tishbak, as well as, later, Ninazu's son Ningishzida, the Babylonian national god Marduk, the scribal god Nabu, and the Assyrian national god Ashur. In the Bible, in the Ugaritic Baal cycle, the sea dragon Latanu is described as the twisting serpent. The powerful one with 7 Latanu is slain by the storm god Baal, but he is instead slain by the virgin warrior goddess Anat. In the Book of Psalms, Psalm 74, Psalm 74 13-14, the sea dragon Leviathan is slain by Yahweh, God of the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, as part of the creation of the world. In Isaiah 27:1, Yahweh's destruction of Leviathan is foretold as part of his impending overhaul of the universal order. Job 41:1-34 contains a detailed description of the Leviathan, who is described as being so powerful that only Yahweh can overcome it. Job 41:19-21 states that the Leviathan exhales fire and smoke, making its identification as a mythical dragon clearly apparent. In some parts of the Old Testament, the Leviathan is historicized as a symbol for the nations that stand against Yahweh. Rahab, a synonym for Leviathan, is used in several biblical passages in reference to Egypt. Isaiah 37 declares, "For Egypt's help is worthless and empty, therefore I have called her the silenced Rahab." Similarly, Psalm 87:3 reads, "I reckon Rahab and Babylon as those that know me." In Ezekiel 29:3-5 and Ezekiel 32:2-8, the Pharaoh of Egypt is described as a dragon, Tannin. In the story of Bel and the dragon from the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel sees a dragon being worshipped by the Babylonians. Daniel makes cakes of pitch, fat, and hair,